Good afternoon. My name is Chief Chris Butler. I'm Chief of Investigation at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. I'm going to recap the officer-involved shooting that we had from earlier this morning. The suspect in this case has been identified as Cody N. Marsh. He's a white male, 19 years old. He doesn't have a criminal history with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. He has been arrested in Clay County in 2014 for bringing an airsoft gun into a school. And in October 2015, he was Baker acted for making suicide threats. The police officers that are involved in this officer-involved shooting, the first one is Police Officer James M. White. He's a 7-year veteran, and this is his second officer-involved shooting. The second police officer is Police Officer Jonathan D. Cochran. He's a 2-year veteran, and this is his first officer-involved shooting. On Saturday, May 14th, 2016, at approximately 2:30 a.m., the suspect was taken by a family member and left at one of our area shelters because the family member did not know where to place the suspect because he had mentioned that he had been taking drugs. At 3:34 a.m., the suspect placed a 911 telephone call to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. During that call, he alleges that he was mugged. Also during the call, he changed his story repeatedly about what happened. Was very vague as far as the mugging itself. He stated that he was at the McDonald's near Market and State Street. Also, while he's on the call with the 911 dispatcher, he became verbally abusive with the dispatcher. He was yelling at her, making racist comments as well as obscenities. The police were then dispatched to the McDonald's, which is located at 253 East State Street. And while en route to the call, another call was received from the manager of McDonald's saying that our suspect had 2 very large bladed knives and that he was banging on the glass doors and demanding to come inside. The manager actually commented that somebody was going to get hurt tonight. That was her opinion by the way he was behaving. 2 police officers arrived at the McDonald's, but the suspect was not there. As they were in the process of checking the McDonald's for the suspect, they heard him yell from across the street and behind them. He said, "Here I am, come get me." He then ran to the parking lot, and I'll describe the area that I'm speaking about. It's going to be the parking lot between the Vet Center, which is located at 300 State Street, and the dental office, which is located at 300 Union Street. It's an L-shaped parking lot in between the businesses. When the police officers arrived over to where the suspect was, they established a perimeter around him. They felt it best at that time to keep him contained because of his behavior. They instructed him to back up initially, which he did back up, but what he continued to do was take the knives, as you see pictured both to my left and to my right. The ones on my right side, which would be to your left, we believe are going to be the 2 knives that he had in his hand, and he began taking those knives and just swinging them wildly about his body. He then made threats to the officers, saying that he was going to cut their heads off, that he was going to slash them, and that he was going to throw the knives at them as well. And what the officers did in order to contain them, you had Police Officer Cochran, which was on the Market Street side of the parking lot, and then you had Officer White, who was on the Union Street side of the parking lot. Officer White began to move a little closer because he felt that the containment, if he didn't move a little closer, then the suspect could have possibly escaped and gotten out of the containment that they had at that time. And to let you know that there were other people in the area, we do have a civilian witness who did see some of the activity that happened and the exchange that happened between the police and the suspect. When the suspect's attention was diverted over to Officer White, the suspect raised the knife, as you can see the one that's pictured over here to the left, and charged at the officer. At that time, almost simultaneously, Police Officer Cochran discharged his issued handgun 1 time at the suspect, and Police Officer White discharged his handgun at the suspect 3 times. The suspect was struck by gunfire. He was struck in the arm as well as the head. The suspect went to the ground, and then the officers moved into position, secured him, and called fire rescue. He was then transported to UF Health, where he's still listed in a life-threatening situation. And I'll take any questions that you have. No, I don't know his previous one. I know it was several years ago, but that was a shoot and miss.
Okay. Do we know
No, ma'am, I don't know that.
One officer fired once, one fired 3 times.
Yes.
Does family members tell you guys anything about, you know, his mental health or mental illness that he had, or is he, do you guys know anything about that? You said he was Baker acted once before.
He was Baker acted once before. Didn't really, you know, this whole situation pretty much started when, you know, a family member met with him, and the suspect explains how he was taking drugs and everything, and the family member, in his opinion, felt that he should not come back home or be with the family at this point because of, you know, his drug habit, for lack of better words. And I don't know if I can necessarily phrase it as being a habit, but, you know, about his drug use. So they felt that the safest thing to do were to be take him to an area shelter where he could spend the night. Obviously, he didn't do that. And you got to remember, you know, the suspect in this case, you know, he had the opportunity to surrender, to drop the knives. Clearly, he demonstrated by his actions as far as being at the McDonald's, banging on the glass windows, swinging the knives about, and then, you know, taunting the officers. When the officers arrive, you know, here I am, come get me, and he escapes or, you know, flees back into a corner. You know, at any point he could have stopped, surrendered. We would have been more than happy to get him the help that he wanted. However, he changed the outcome of the situation and decided to charge the officer and try to attack him.
I'm sorry, you said how many times was he shot?
I don't know how many times he was struck. I know, like I said, Officer White fired 3 times and Officer Cochran fired 1 time.
You said he was struck in the arm and then the head.
Yes.
So that's twice.
Don't know how many times.
About how far away were the officers when they fired?
Initially, when Police Officer White was moving towards a suspect, I want to say that was around 45 feet, maybe closer, but you got to understand there's a lot of things happening. And as the officer's moving, the suspect closes that distance when he begins to charge and go after him. The initial distance for Police Officer Cochran was probably around 90 feet.
Do we know if he was high on drugs during the altercation?
I don't know that at this time. I'm sure part of his medical records will, you know, might have that stuff. Obviously, you know, speaking to the family member, what he told us, the suspect told him that he had been taking some kind of drugs. So, but again, I'm speculating. I don't know what if he was under the influence of anything.
So it's possible.
Yeah, there's a possibility.
So talking to the family member, they said that he was just on drugs. They didn't kind of specify anything. Because I know that you kind of JSO was just a press conference kind of talking about some of the drugs that have been going around that we're trying to knock down.
Yes, nothing like that. Nothing to indicate that type of drug or anything like that.
Specific, just drugs.
No, nothing specific.
Anything else? Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.